Hello, welcome to another New Catholic Generation movie review. I am David from Catholic Contrast, joined once again by Joseph, the Catholic apologist, Sarah from Future Girl 123, and Ned from Parables of the Film Industry.
I'm wearing a donut shirt today.
So, back when we watched The Resurrection of Gavin Stone, there was a scene in it that had a radio DJ. And in our review, we talked about how we really liked the scene.
One of the characters I laughed at the most was that radio show host.
Yeah.
Oh my
gosh,
that was such a good actor.
Yes.
Well, the director, Dallas Jenkins, happened to watch our review, and he sent it to Torry Martin, who happened to be the guy who was the radio DJ in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Since we said in our review that we really wanted to see more of him, he messaged us on Facebook and said, "Hey, I do have more of me coming out. I have a movie called Heaven Bound. Would you like to see it?" And we were like, Sure.
Why not? Basic plot summary is a husband and wife. They're very rich. They have a good life going for them. And the husband is what job does he have? He's like
He's the third highest paid employee in the
It's like a dog.
organic, gourmet, gluten-free dog food company.
There you
It
go.
was literally made in Seattle. It's giving me PTSD.
Yes. So eventually, like at the very beginning of the movie, he's asked to look after the owner's dog. He's basically the face of this company, and he's looking after her or him, looking after him. And then he is like driving home or driving somewhere along with the dog, and he accidentally, I have no idea how the dog got on the roof.
He puts the dog on the roof
That's
because
right,
the lady was putting a tree in her car.
That's right. He puts the dog on the roof, and because he got distracted, then he gets in the car, forgets about the dog, and then he's just driving. Then he notices that the dog is on the roof, and then he halts to a stop where the dog, and you don't see this, the dog basically gets rammed into a big truck or something like that.
It's a semi and some Amish buggies.
That's very good.
Actually, that was the loudest laugh out of Ned the whole night from the Amish buggies running over the dog.
What can I say? I adore violence. Anyway, so basically, after a while, the whole town hates him because
Because he killed Mr. Minsky.
Kill Mr. Minsky, God forbid. At this point, the husband's got fired from his job because he killed the owner's dog, which in itself is hilarious. And the husband and wife are now living in poverty. The house is
in poverty. They still have their house.
Yeah,
They're selling everything.
Yeah, they're selling everything just to try and they can't even keep the lights on, the electricity on. Or
They
anything.
have all their phones and their iPads just out in the rain on a table it's a yard
It
sale.
made me fall over because it's like you can't have a yard sale with your iPhone. Like it was literally raining. Their iPhone, an iPad for every room, just out on the lawn. Ugh.
Yep.
Ever heard of eBay?
No, apparently not.
Not in this Christian universe.
Actually, no, because they didn't have electricity, so they couldn't go on eBay.
Couldn't go to the library to do a listing
No.
because they didn't have library cards. They were so poor they didn't even have library cards.
Even though for most of the time, those are free.
Keep going with the synopsis.
Actually, anyway.
Keep going with the synopsis.
So, the wife is friends with this doctor who is very
She works for the doctor.
Works, thank you. Works for this doctor who is very, very rich. And he basically kind of starts talking to her about, he has these family jewels that belong to his wife or whatever. These jewels that belong to his wife that he has very precious, he holds very precious to him and everything. And then she decides that, I know how we can get money. Let's go ahead and rob this poor man's house.
Well, this rich man's house.
Yeah, this poor rich man's house.
No, but you missed the part where this rich doctor has an epiphany because this got Jesus kid goes out to his door.
Yeah.
He's like, "Do you know where you would go if you died tomorrow?" So this guy's all like, "I'm gonna convert pizza men. I'm gonna give them $100 tips and convert all these pizza men." So then when the wife of the Mr. Minsky killer she goes to steal the jewels, the old doctor, instead of calling the police, is all like, "I'm gonna convert you."
Yep.
He's like, "Stay here for 4 days so I can convert you."
Yep.
And
But yeah, and that's basically the plot of the movie.
That's the premise, yeah.
That's the premise.
So, What were your overall thoughts, Ned?
Why are you looking at me for? I know I'm the film critic, but jeez, no.
He doesn't have 3 pages of notes.
Oh, all right. Well, it was a very interesting movie. I can say that. It wasn't bad. It definitely was not a bad movie. I've seen far worse movies to go ahead and like look at this and say this is a bad movie. It was enjoyable. I had a good time watching it, and it was just very interesting comedy-wise. Like, the moral of the story was there, and it was a good moral. The acting wasn't really that bad or anything either. The comedy though was a little bit all over the place.
Yeah.
That's an understatement.
Finger on it.
Yeah, like there were moments I thought, wow, that's really funny. Then there were other moments I'm like, why was that there? And then there were other times I'm like, this is a little bit over the top, but it's still funny, but a little bit too over the top, especially since there were a few dramatic moments within the film and whatever. And then I also thought, this is one really long YouTube video.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean a lot of the humor, a decent amount of the humor was very reminiscent of like YouTube humor.
Which YouTuber would be most similar to this style of comedy?
I don't know.
It's not Niga Higa, that's for sure.
Okay, I have to be a little bit honest. Some of the comedy reminded me of Smosh.
Yeah, I was
old
thinking that
Smosh.
too. Yeah.
Old Smosh,
Yeah.
yeah. Not the new stuff. Okay, so kind of to get back a little bit to the comedy. The comedy relied heavily on the sufferings of the main characters, which honestly that is actually a main aspect of comedy. You're supposed to go ahead and watch something which is not really supposed to be funny, and then it's just like, wow, this is kind of funny, even though it really shouldn't be funny because it makes you a little bit uncomfortable. So you're watching it and you're like, that's funny. I'm glad that's not me. And then there was lots of random comedy. Lots and lots of random comedy. Torry Martin, God bless you. You are really funny. And
You're out there, man.
You're very,
crazy.
very out there. Yes, you're
very enjoyable to watch, though.
Yeah, no, you're enjoyable to watch. I loved your humor. You reminded me of an exaggerative Jack Black.
I enjoyed the film. It was definitely an experience. I really needed an hour and a half of just laughing and having no idea what was going on because I didn't see the trailer, and I was like, David, what movie are we watching? He's like, oh, it's comedy, it'll be lighthearted. And there were multiple points throughout the whole film where we were all like, what are we watching? Like,
I guess like in the first 5 minutes they kill a dog.
Like I said, uncomfortable comedy.
it was so much fun. Oh, I didn't know this Wednesday was going to be like 2 hours of laughing.
I think you described it at the beginning as like, I feel like I'm watching a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, well at first just
Except
the
better
tone was
quality.
weird.
Yeah, it was better
The tone was
quality.
super weird at the beginning, and then we really get into the meat of the story, and I was like, oh, that's what we paid for.
Agreeing with that, it was an interesting movie.
Yeah.
Looking at different parts in the script. In most movies, you'd see some of these things as, oh, that was a mistake here, that was a mistake there. But I felt like some of this stuff was intentional to add to the comedy.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
They really embraced it.
Yeah, it just kind of like getting out of that mistake, but like, it's okay.
I truly believe there was a lot of ad-libbing.
Yeah,
I think one of my favorite shots was when the guy tries to put the straw in his mouth and he just misses several times because he's not looking.
Yes!
Yeah.
That was actually really funny.
Basically, we were talking about this before the shoot. Our skit videos have, a little bit of corniness, a little punny, or just plain funny. This wasn't just a little bit of corniness. This was a cornfield.
Pour the corn syrup on, man.
This was so corny and so cheesy, but that didn't make it bad.
Right.
It was a good movie. Like, I'd much rather watch it as opposed to many of the other things that we have seen and reviewed on this channel.
True
God's not done.
But yeah, I think one of my favorite parts, we were watching the movie, and he's like, "Oh, you guys need to fix your marriage. You need to fix your marriage." And he's going through this giant DVD collection. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, if he pulls out Fireproof, and the movie pulls out and ends up watching his Fireproof, I almost literally fell on the floor intentionally.
We all were laughing.
I was
we
done.
haven't seen it. The three of us haven't even seen it, and we were dying.
I was done. Kind of predictable in some areas, but again, it made it funny. I just like, as far as like really enjoying it, it's not exactly my type of comedy. I laughed, but it's not my favorite type of comedy.
Yeah.
Well, as Ned said, it did sort of remind me of YouTube comedy. I was interested in watching it, seeing how they would approach the Christian aspect. Because one interesting sort of thought experiment I'll try to do when watching Christian film like this, especially where they're trying to like convert the main character, it's like, if the religion of the main character was switched, how would it feel? And I think that's often a good gauge of like, are the missionary evangelization tactics coming across the right way? Would you feel comfortable being approached by someone of a different religion with this sort of tactic? And I think in this movie, although there are a lot of weird tactics, the comedy part of it was sort of acknowledging that these are not appropriate tactics to use. The guy going from door to door with the "Got Jesus" shirt.
He had a fanny pack that had his Bible in it. Sorry.
And then the main character who's trying to convert some of the other main characters by locking them in his house for the weekend and sort of blackmailing them with reporting that they were going to rob his house.
Yeah.
And he has the footage of them. Like, that's not an appropriate way to convert someone either. And I did like that he acknowledged that at the end of the film.
See, David's the first one to talk about theology in this panel.
Take that. Oh, weird. Weird.
Take that. Yeah, no, I think that's a very good point. And I mean, like, if you're going into this and looking at the moral message of it, that is definitely something good to take away.
Yeah.
If you're Catholic going into this, I mean, there's the obvious going into it where there's the whole, I know I'm going to heaven, the whole thing that we Catholics look as kind of presumptuous. If you know anything about Protestants, it's probably one of the things you know, it's the big question, you know. If you were to die today, where would you be going? So as a Catholic, like, Steve Ray has a good way of answering that. And, you know, it's quoting St. Paul saying, you know, I work out my salvation day by day. You don't presume the love of, or not the love of God, you don't presume salvation. You continually try to strive for it every day and just continue loving God as much as you can, because it's easy to get prideful and it's easy to say, oh, well, I'm already going to heaven anyway, so I'm going to go do this, and that.
Well, and God doesn't keep, you know, like, our life in a bag and be like, how's it weigh today? Like, do you weigh enough to be in heaven with all your good deeds?
All right, well, that's
like,
not the point.
It's about the relationship. That's kind of,
yeah, obviously. But because, you know, sometimes it's easy to be, you know, by that presumptuous attitude, you can be like, oh, you can make
because
that
I'm
relationship.
a good person.
But you can make that relationship suffer.
Yeah.
So that's kind of thing. Anyway, didn't even mean to get into all that. But point being, as a Catholic, you know, you can see that, you know, okay, well, this is a Protestant film. You don't expect them to be Catholic. You know, but like, there's still a good message of, you know, you don't force evangelization on people.
I think one of the only like plot criticisms we had, because I mean, although it's like it's an absurd
the
universe,
plot is ridiculous.
Yeah. The character, flipping Torry Martin's character, because he's the brother of the wife.
Yeah, but we don't find out till like 75.
Yeah, I didn't even know that until way later. I'm like,
I thought I missed it or something, and then all you guys are like, wait, he's the brother.
I was the one.
Okay.
I was the one who said it.
Okay, so the way his character is set up is that he sneaks into...
He's a professional sneaker inner.
Like,
sneaker in there.
like they established that the husband and wife haven't noticed him and he's been in the house for 3 days. And then when they go into the doctor's house,
He's breaking stuff.
biggest
He's
bozo.
a terrible sneaker inner.
He gets on a flipping treadmill to lose weight so he can fit through the hole to get out of the house.
That is the one problem with this movie, and it's funny, it's really funny, but there's a moment of you have to realize there's only so much suspension of disbelief you can give something, even in funny terms, until you're like,
Why?
Is this real?
Yeah.
Is this real? Yes, I realize
That's why I was falling out of my
Yes,
chair because I didn't think it was happening.
Yes, I realize this is a comedy, but is this real? Because there are so many comedies, even older ones, that are a little bit over the top, that are still, you could actually believe that for some odd reason.
Yeah, this threw believability out the window when the dog got run over.
What are you talking about? I do that every Friday.
In your Joker cosplay.
No, in my Jason Voorhees cosplay.
So, final verdict.
I'll probably give the movie a 60. Yes. I think
Is
that...
that a letter grade?
No, I'm not... No, I'm not...
Are we
no,
Rotten
I'm not-
Tomatoesing this?
I hate Rotten Tomatoes, but...
Probably maybe 6 out of 10. That's
yeah, it's a
usually
6
good.
out of 10. A 6 out of 10.
Pretty good. Better
yeah.
than half, so.
Yeah, it's better than half. You made me laugh. It's just, and therefore, let me put it this way. Was the movie enjoyable? Yes. So that way, if I'm able to enjoy a movie, it immediately gets almost bumped up to a 5.
Yeah.
Because in that is at least a little bit rewatchability. And the 6 is just because the comedy was
All
okay.
over the place.
all over the place. It was all over the place.
It's an experience.
Yes, it was all over the place. It wasn't bad comedy. It was just you could not find your true niche in the comedy, and therefore it was just an all over the place kind of comedy.
Well, and I felt like the comedy was kind of a reflection of my life because I just make decisions where I'm like everywhere, and I was like, hey, it's my brain. Yeah, no, I would give this movie a 7 solely because of the line "Salvation Pinata." If you
Oh, that was great.
if you don't want to pay to see a movie that has a Salvation Pinata or is mentioned as Salvation Pinata, there's something wrong with you. So
Salvation Pinata.
I don't even know.
give it a
I
number,
don't even
Joe.
want to give it a percentage. I don't want, because I just don't know.
How about
Because
it
as far as
enjoyability?
Enjoyability was kind of like all over the place.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I kind of liked it, but other times I was like, but
What
it was
am I
mistake, but it was
watching?
an intentional mistakes, and intentional mistakes kind of mess with me. But
I think the
intrigued
new
and
scale should be
confused, but-
if it's better than God's Not Dead between like the passion. That's what the NCG grading scale should be.
I guess it's somewhere in the middle, around a 5 or a 6. I don't know.
Yeah, 5 and 6. Honestly,
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. I give up.
Whoa!
Look at-
Let's
look
not
at-
injure the panelists.
This is the extent of my notes. Like JMJ at the top, and that's it. So
Oh my gosh,
Actually, that's
you're
your book.
just
I-
vandalizing this apartment.
I'm sorry, David. This is your notebook. I should be. I should take better care of it.
You gotta save it for the Salvation
Sarah,
Pinata.
I kind of made it. I don't even know
Okay,
what to do.
David, grade.
I think the hard part about, as you mentioned, like assigning a rating is it's trying to assign an objective value, such as a number, to something that is very subjective. Like,
It's
did you enjoy a movie? Would you recommend it?
Did you enjoy the cornfield?
I enjoyed the
No, it was a bottle
I
of
would
corn
say-
syrup and maple syrup on your
Yeah.
face, okay?
I would say that, like, with each movie, perhaps there's differences. Like, there's some movies where you would say, you really need to see this in a theater on the big screen if it's a big, grand, epic scale type
Lord of the
production.
Rings.
This is the sort of movie I would say, watch it with a bunch of your friends on like a Friday night.
Get some
Like it's that kind of movie.
yeah.
Like don't watch it alone. Watch it when you're in the comfort of your home and just ready to just like crack jokes with friends.
Yeah, there you go.
I
That
think
sounds
like
good.
most of the fun we had was talking to each other because I talk in theaters, and so the fact that we didn't have to like sit in a theater, like we just talked to each other throughout the film and laughed and cried a little because it was so funny.
I
I
would-
cried a little. I don't know
yeah.
if you guys cried a little. I don't.
I mean, yeah, I'd probably give it 7 out of 10 because, yeah,
Pretty high.
for the situation I described, which is essentially the situation we watched it in, it was quite an enjoyable night.
Yeah.
And then also, there wasn't anything I was really ticked off about the way the Christianness of it came off. I thought they were plenty, willing to poke fun at themselves and also try to be genuine in ways that weren't overly pushy.
I definitely
Which-
want a Bible fanny pack now. I've been inspired. So.
Oh dear. The corn is rubbing off on you.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
There's more corn in this movie than there was in Children of the Corn.
Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and we hope you'll tune in back for our next movie review. See you.